What's going on, everybody? I hope you're enjoying your Friday afternoon and you're getting ready for a very nice weekend upcoming. This is NYG Jeffy T85 here, and I'm bringing you my last scouting update and scouting report for two players this week. Next week, I'll start a whole new scouting going on. But for today, I'm going to be scouting two more players. One more wide receiver and one more offensive lineman that could be early draft picks going into the 2023 NFL Draft and potential targets for the New York Giants going into this draft. Obviously, I've talked about some of the other draft picks that I've gone over the past few days. Starting out with Rashee Rice out of SMU and John Michael Schmidt out of Minnesota. I've also talked about Jordan Addison out of USC and Osiris Torrance out of Florida. Some more, Jackson Smith-Njigba and Luke Whippler, both of them out of Ohio State. And then the last one I did yesterday, Joshua Downs out of North Carolina and Steve Avila out of TCU. And for today's fifth one of the week, I'm going to be talking about one of the top-rated wide receiver prospects going into this year, as well as one of the top-rated interior offensive line / center prospects coming into this NFL Draft. Number one, I'm going to start with the wide receiver, and I'm going to talk about one of the guys that are making a lot of buzz. He had a very strong season last year for the Tennessee Volunteers, and that is the 6 foot, 175-pound Jalin Hyatt. Hyatt last year for the Tennessee Volunteers, 67 receptions, 1,267 yards, and 15 touchdowns in 13 games. Hyatt is what you know as the prototypical. When I talked about all the other wide receivers so far in this draft, I think when it comes to just all-out explosiveness, speed, acceleration, and just being able to win in the middle of the field, this is guy number one, right here. This guy is perfect if you're looking for a spread offense for what Tennessee ran this past season in 2022. This guy has got speed for days. He just knows how to create the leverage in between the linebackers, the safeties, and the cornerbacks in the middle of the defense. He's also nimble and explosive with his easy acceleration, and he has speed necessary to win most foot races and get behind defenders. He is a flat-out speed guy, and when I think about Jalin Hyatt, the first guy I think about who came out a couple of years ago, Jalen Waddle, another Jalen. That's exactly what I think about when I think of Jalin Hyatt. I think of Jalen Waddle, another speed wide receiver. Pretty much a guy I believe that's going to be more in the slot, but he can play on the outside too. But this guy can win in the middle of the field if you just get him the ball in space and let him go out there and just break away from the defenders. That's what he does best, is his just deep speed and his ability to win deep sets upon the ability to snap off routes and work back to them. He knows how to come back to the quarterback. If, for instance, the ball gets, if the quarterback is scrambling out of the pocket and Hyatt is in one of his wide receiver routes, he knows exactly when to stop and come back to his quarterback to give him every chance to get the reception in place. I've been a little bit curious with Hyatt because when you think about speed receivers, a lot of them, they only think about their deep speed in order for them to get open in the NFL. They don't worry about, in terms of their route running, in terms of other ways to create separation, because if you have a speed receiver going into the NFL, a defensive coordinator will find a way to bracket you on the outside to try to handle and take care of your speed. So you need to become more of a route technician when you get into the NFL, and you can't just be known as a guy that's going to rely on your speed and speed alone. You got to be able to accelerate and go forward with the rest of your route tree in the NFL. because speed will get you so far in college. And remember, college is more of an open-ended offense, spread offense, 4 or 5 wide receivers spread out wide or in the slot, and you can just throw it to the open guy. Whereas in the NFL, it's a little bit more complex. You're not really going to get away with that as much. But here are some of the reasons why you would buy into a guy like Jalin Hyatt. His explosive athletic profile. Like I mentioned, this guy knows how to use his deep speed and get down the football field, beat defenders on the outside just with his incredible speed. This guy's got like 4.3, 4.2 speed. That's probably what he's going to run around near the combine, unless he has a little bit of an injury. This guy knows how to use his speed to get open in the middle of the field. That is one thing you got to look out for with Jalin Hyatt. He knows how to get open in the middle of the field with his speed. And what's one thing that a lot of people say? Speed kills. But speed kills, yes, but you got to know how to use that speed. You got to know when to use that speed. You got to know how to use that speed. You can't just go out there and expect your speed to win alone. But he also has vertical receiving skill set. Case in point, throw him on the outside or in the slot, make him go downfield on a 9 route or a deep route. Let him just go down there and beat the defender one-on-one for a deep pass down the field. He's the guy that can rack up those 40 to 50-yard catches over the top on the field. He is your prototypical deep threat wide receiver. That's exactly what he is. When you think about Jalin Hyatt, in this draft, he is your prototypical deep threat wide receiver, where he's just going to be able to beat you vertically down the field. While some of these other wide receivers, they might beat you with their route running and elusiveness over the middle of the field. This guy can beat you with his deep speed. He's also elusive in and out of his breaks too. So he knows how to break open on some of these in and out routes. He knows how to get open on some of his routes in the middle of the field. He's elusive in and out of his breaks. He knows how to jitter jab back and forth. Might not be the cleanest of route runners, but when he runs a certain route that he understands or he knows how to run, he knows how to get open. And his ball skills are terrific too. He knows when the ball is up in the air how to go up and high point the catch. He knows how to adjust his body in the air, adjust his body on the field, so if the ball is thrown in one direction, he's twisted the other. He knows how to turn his body around and get to that ball on the football field and make the proper adjustments to get open. That's one thing that you need to learn in the NFL is how to find a way to create and fix up on the adjustment side of things in the NFL. This is what he knows how to do, Jalin Hyatt. Now, some of the things to be concerned about Jalin Hyatt, his transition from extreme speed to tempo offense. So if, God forbid, he gets drafted from a spread offense into a tempo offense, is he going to be able to use that spread? Is he going to be able to adjust to a tempo offense in the NFL, more like a West Coast offense compared to a spread? Is that what he's going to be able? Is he going to be able to adjust to that type of offense? That's what a lot of people wonder. He's also got 1 year of meaningful production. You only have 1 year of tape with this guy. He's not really done it on a consistent basis. It's only 2022 that you've seen an explosion out of this kid. Some of it you might say with his teammate. Well, how his teammate did. Cedric Tillman. Maybe it has a lot to do with the quarterback, Hendon Hooker, the offensive line. But this kid needs to rack up a little bit more. Slender build. He is a smaller receiver. While he has the speed, he is only 175 pounds and 6 foot. You have to wonder if he'd get bullied on the outside if he goes against a bigger cornerback. Or if they know how to press him at the line of scrimmage, bump him off his routes. Is he going to be able to adjust on the middle of the football field and be able to run another route on the outside? That's what you have to wonder. Smaller receiver can get beaten very easily at the line of scrimmage. And a lot of things with a wide receiver. If he gets knocked off his route right at the beginning when you have that 5-yard cushion before you have to give way and give that space, that can mean a lot in what a wide receiver does in terms of trying to develop his route in the middle of the field. And also, One of the things that made me a little bit worried about him is his route tree. He needs to still develop his route tree and ability to win from more alignments. He's not a refined route runner. That's why I like guys like Joshua Downs and Jordan Addison a little bit more, because while Jalin Hyatt has the best intangibles in terms of his speed, deep speed, and he probably has the most explosive athleticism out of a lot of these wide receivers, in terms of his development as a route runner, he's probably one of the weaker ones in terms of the top-rated wide receivers coming out of this draft. That's something he's going to have to work on getting into the next level if he wants to consistently be able to get open in the middle of the field as well as play on the outside. I believe he's more of a slot receiver projection right now too, sort of like Jalen Waddle, even though Waddle has proven he can play on the outside too. But I believe Hyatt, if he can add a little bit more weight to his skill and as well as become a little bit more of a redefined route runner overall on the field, he could become a very good wide receiver. But we'll have to wait and see. I like Jalin Hyatt, but I don't love Jalin Hyatt. Out of all the wide receivers in the first round, he's probably one of the ones I rank a little bit lower because of the fact he's not a complete wide receiver in terms of his route running. And for me, that's a big deal. I look for guys that can go out there and be able to run routes on a clear basis and be able to run multiple routes. A guy that has the complete route tree altogether. That's what I'm looking for. And now I'm going to get to my other guy, Ricky Stromberg. He's a 6'4", 318-pound offensive lineman / center, senior, coming out of Arkansas. He's a center too, which gets me even more excited. Not one of the biggest centers out there. He is only 318 pounds, though he is 6'4". He's a fourth-year starter. He entered as a fourth-year starter. This guy's been pretty much playing his entire career as a offensive lineman, starting from when he was a freshman. And he has played both guard spots and a center. He's diverse. He can play multiple positions on the offensive line. I like that. In terms of his scheme fit, he's more better in a diverse, heavy run offense. Whether the New York Giants run a lot last year. Diverse, heavy run offense. Featuring a lot of quarterback power and aggressive downhill rushing. Telling you, if this Stromberg kid came out last year, he would have fit in like a glove with the New York Giants offense. We needed this type of center on our team. That's exactly what he would have done with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. He would have been perfect with our offense. Some of the pros, he's a well-tenured starter at the SEC level. He's seen as the best of the best as a result. He's capable of a pretty high-level rep, both the vertical run game and the working as a quick reach player to set the point of attack and establish a firm lane to cut back into. He leverages his hands well at the point of combat and manipulates the pads of defenders to carve out a gap at the point of attack. He knows how to use his hands in the perfect place to be able to open up the run game going forward. He's got a bigger frame. I think he needs to add a little bit more weight, but 318, that's not bad. 6'4" is perfect. And he showcased the needed anchor against power rushers to win one-on-one. He knows how to win those one-on-one games against power rushers up the middle of the field. That's important. You shouldn't consider him a persistent help player in the front. He can handle isolated matchups, and his positional versatility is something that would go as a big plus. That's the one thing that got me excited learning about this kid. His positional availability. He's not just a center. He's projected to be a center, but he can play the guard position too, left or right. I like hearing about that. Though, some of the cons he has, in 2 games against Georgia and Alabama, 2 of the top-ranked teams in college football last year, Ricky Stromberg went against a top 15 pick in Jordan Davis and a top 30 pick in Devontae Wyatt, both of them from Georgia last year before they got picked in the first round, and a top 50 pick in Fidaraman Mathis and a future first-round choice in Jalen Carter. And they didn't win any of those matchups. He got bullied by some of those top-rated defensive linemen in the middle of the field. And the bigger body defenders tested his sustained finish ability and provided wins on the interior. He still needs to work on his overall footwork and his hand placement still in the interior of the defensive line. That's something he's got to continue to work on going forward. But I'm sure with time, Ricky Stromberg, if he gets the right system and the right tempo, he can be able to fix that. And his length in all those matchups a barrier that prevented consistent fits on the block. Maybe that's unfair baseline to hold him into, and he's not ready to put and say he can't play at a higher level. But they're saying Stromberg is comparing them right now to Tyler Biadasz, who I thought Biadasz got a lot better last year in terms of his play with the Dallas Cowboys. But he is lacking in the power department in some ways, and his footwork needs to get better. Of course, they're saying Biadasz appeared to take a step back with his functional athleticism after offseason hip surgery. Stromberg's feet are often too dead after contact, and that cuts down on his sustained blocks. Not very good at moving his feet after he gets knocked off on his blocks initially. He doesn't know how to reestablish himself on the defensive line when he gets that first big hit in the middle of the defense. There's also an aforementioned length dynamic, which negates his gravitational pull as a blocker too. He struggles a little bit because of his arm length. That's something I noticed with John Michael Schmidt too. Arm length is not really there. And a lot of people look at that kind of thing as arm length. That's what they said about Tyler Linderbaum last year. His arm length was a question going into the NFL draft. But I think that Stromberg could potentially be a guy that could still be a middle to late round, second round pick for the New York Giants if he is there. And the Giants want to draft this kid as a potential versatile offensive lineman that can not only play the center position or the guard. He's just going to have to work on his foot placement as well as be able to handle some of the bigger defensive tackles and nose tackle he's going to be going against, and he plays in the NFL. He maybe needs to put on a little bit more weight, continue to work on his footwork, and especially after he gets the first contact against a defensive lineman, he's got to know when to adjust and be able to regather himself and regather his footwork going into the second battle while he's in the middle engaged with a defensive lineman going forward. But either way, Jalin Hyatt and Ricky Stromberg, let me know what you guys think in the comment section about both these players going into the NFL draft. If you like them, if you don't like them, and if you think that both these guys would be a good fit for the New York Giants heading into the 2023 NFL draft. And you guys know the drill. Hit that like button. Sub up to NYG Jeffy T85. More news, updates, and chatter surrounding the New York Giants. And always turn on that bell for notifications on the next video or short dropping on the channel surrounding the New York Giants. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Friday. TGIF, thank God it's Friday. Take it easy, and let's go. New York Football Giants, as always. Together Blue, everyone.